Join the coven. I Hunt Reverse Vampires. A story written by Cecily, 1987. Part 5. Alright, we're back. Had to take a little bit of a break. Going through my past is mentally straining on me. Also, my memories jumble together. I'll get to the reason for that later. So, Amand was dead now. It felt good. Really good. I knew I was different from my late friend Mark now. I knew I wanted to continue the fight. I slept like a bandaged up baby that night. The look on Amon's face before his head exploded was like Ambien to me. The next afternoon, I limped out with crutches to the memorial we were having outside. It was the first time me, Mika, and Voss had been together since the attack. We lined up with the instructor, Rafe, and a few others I had never seen. Laid before us were 11 graves with fresh dirt piled upon them. All my cattle mates and some staff. Behind them was a 3-foot-tall white marble column with a sculpted balance scale atop of it. On one end of the balance lay a sculpted heart on the tray. On the other was a sculpted feather. Both were weighed equal on the scale. An inscription on the column said, "Alas, in our eyes, you were found pure." I didn't know what all the symbolism meant at the time, but I got the gist of it. I mourned for Mark, most of all. His heart was too pure to withstand the horrors of this life. We stood quietly as Rafe spoke in an ancient tongue over the graves. Then a priest stepped up and read from the Psalms. This blew my mind. Shouldn't a priest be shoving a cross in Rafe's face, screaming, "The power of Christ compels you"? I guess things really were different from the movies. But I did see Voss make the sign of the cross with the priest. Interesting. Voss must have seen me looking, and he stared back at me. Mika was between us, her entire left hand a robotic replacement now. She had lost 3 of her fingers and said, "Screw it, just give me a whole new hand." Maybe I should be maimed more often, so I can get cool new arms and legs, he said dryly to the both of us. Yeah, maybe they can get you an actual personality too, Mika retorted without looking at him. After the ceremony, we were told we were moving to the final and longest phase of training. 3 more months of spellcraft, hunting technique, and field training. We were finally told where we were in Mexico, close to the Texas border. Every morning we went outside to sit on some bleachers in the hot desert, only the merciful shade from an overhead tin roof to cool us. This is where we met our new instructor, Alejandro Domingo, a stocky and thickly muscled Mexican man with a killer mustache. Alejandro was surprisingly open about his past. Maybe we had finally reached a place in training that they trusted us. He told us he was one of the founding members of the Zeta Cartel, a US-trained Mexican police unit that immediately converted to being criminals when they got back to Mexico. Alejandro told us not everybody was down with Breaking Bad as soon as training was done, but they had no choice. Alejandro was forcefully turned by an ancient mob who was the drug kingpin of the region. Alejandro's life only consisted of killing and maiming for his new master, therefore establishing the Zeta Cartel. Between catching people on fire and piling people in mass graves, Alejandro was relegated to a small 1-bedroom apartment with only a bed, shower, and fridge. He told how he was forced to work out and clean weapons for 16 to 20 hours a day in a small room. No relaxation, no communication with anybody, no nothing. His mob master only seeing him as a blunt instrument to hurt people with, only calling him out when somebody needed to die, horribly. He went on to explain Amit, the organization I apparently work for, found and killed his master, freeing him from his thrall. Alejandro told us Amit was a peacekeeping force between the many Mavrip clans. Alejandro joined up with them after years of spreading death and misery. It was his attempt to atone. He taught us tracking, interrogation, crime scene investigation, and tons of other spy stuff. I excelled at all this, but was a little thrown by some of the tactics, like how to torture someone for info or how to get the drop on the cops if you're being arrested. It was hard for me to admit that I would be considered a criminal in most of the places I went. Oh, I got my leg back. It still looked like a metal leg, but I could feel it. The one thing I didn't excel at was spellcraft. The way it was explained to us was very bare bones. Some people had connection to magical forces by means that were not disclosed to us. If you didn't have a magical connection, you could still use finite magical items. I only had luck with activating magical charms and items. Mika was good at both, but Voss was super wizard savant with everything. Mika went on to tell me a little bit of her backstory. She was from Haiti, where the ruling Mavrip clan terrorized the people. Some ancient treaty kept Amit from interfering, but they could train independent contractors to protect the smaller villages from being preyed upon. Mika told me her plan was to go back to Haiti and take on an apprentice to defend the people. She came from a long line of hunters, also why she was so good with spellcraft. She had been taught it at an early age, but even she said Voss's ability was freaky. During one night, we all stood outside in the desert, around a pentagram of salt, with candles at points. Alejandro was glowing as he led us individually in a chant to summon a lesser spirit. Spirits were a good source of information, like a CI. My summoning went horribly. At the end of the chant, all the candles went out, leaving us with only the light of the glowing Alejandro. Candles going out gotta mean something, I said nervously after moments of silence. Not always, Alejandro said back, and called Mika to be next. Mika's went way better than mine. Her candles went out, but a dark mass had appeared in the pentagram. Mika nodded her head as if she was hearing something, her eyes tearing. When the figure disappeared, she told us it was her late grandfather. She said he was proud of her and told her where his sword was buried for her to retrieve when she got back to Haiti. Next up was Voss, and oh boy, what a show his was. At the end of his chanting, the candles burst forth, blue flames like blowtorches. A massive cloud materialized with two shining purple dots for eyes. Your noble's heart calls out to me. I will devour you entirely once it matures, came a growling voice in all our heads. A lowly human doesn't need such power. Alejandro stepped forth and began chanting, trying to banish the apparition. The entity's eyes flashed a brilliant purple, causing Alejandro to collapse in pain. Voss stepped forward to take his place, removing his shirt to reveal a pentagram tattooed over his heart. A giant scar ran down the center of his chest like from a surgery. I then realized I had never seen Voss shirtless. We supposed he took his showers separate due to thinking he was a different class of person than us. The pentagram on his chest began glowing hot red as Voss spit out Latin phrases like curse words. It took a while, but the purple eyes faded and the black mass disappeared. Once again, we were left in darkness, the glowing Alejandro getting to his feet. This happens sometimes, Voss said sheepishly. The first time I had ever seen him not extremely confident and cocky. What's a good Catholic boy like you doing with a pentagram on your chest? I asked. The pentagram is a symbol of power. It is not inherently evil. It depends on the will of the user, he answered curtly. That was pretty cool, Mika said. I have never seen a purple-eyed demon. He must be big time. It's not a demon. It's something far worse, Voss replies cryptically. The event finally ended the class for the night. Alejandro was visibly shaken by what happened. On my walk back to the hangar, I was lagging behind everyone. Taylor, I heard a voice call from far away. I turned to look out into the darkness. It was Mark, looking pale and sad. Don't trust Mom. Ask about the tracking spell. His voice echoed in my head. Then he was gone. I kept it to myself and pondered the meaning. I knew whatever it was, Mark was looking out for me. Finally, we reached the end of training. Rafe and Alejandro met us in the small PT room to give us our first mission. Your first mission won't be far from here, and Alejandro will accompany to babysit and for unfinished business, Rafe spoke. Once our teams had eliminated the Maverick Master over the Zeta Cartel, this left a lot of young Mavericks running around with free will. We have recruited or eliminated most of these lieutenants, but one has stationed up in a nearby village. His name is Conrad Avila, Alejandro continued for Rafe. We received special forces training together. When he was turned, he was relegated to being a sicario like me. When our master was killed, he decided to make his own pack of mobs under his control. He has successfully turned everyone within his town, with the exception of a human lieutenant, all feral, half-turned under his mind control. He has killed any ambassador Ahmet has sent. We will infiltrate and kill Conrad, hopefully freeing as many under his control as we can, Alejandro finished. How many half-turned? Voss asked. 30 to 40, Rafe replied. There was collective gasps from all three of us. You will be armed with state-of-the-art weaponry and with a highly trained maverick to accompany you, Rafe said, a little angry. All three of you have faced this enemy and survived. Where is your backbone, your Ahmet pride? We can handle this, Voss said, like a teacher's pet. Later that day, we were driving towards the target town in an unremarkable white van. The inside was kitted out with all sorts of weapons and goodies. All four of us decked out in black BDUs. I guess we were going to infiltrate at night. Alejandro was the only one wearing something different. A rubbery black, form-fitting bodysuit with pouches and pockets. It kept him from glowing through his clothing like he normally did. He had a hoodie and a black mask that could completely conceal his face. The mask was blank except for two round glass eyes, looking very ghoulish. The local gangs and police must provide human food to Conrad for protection, Alejandro said as he placed a map down between us on a bench. The main road runs up to his villa, mostly guarded by humans, but the town is infested with half-turned, he said as he ran his finger along the map's road. We must infiltrate the villa and kill Conrad, but if he is alerted, he will bring a swarm of half-turned down on us. He turned to point at Voss. That's where I need my best fighter and shooter, to be a stopgap between the town and the villa. The horde is alerted. You must mount a defense on the villa walls. Alejandro pointed to a grenade launcher and M60 in the weapons rack. Nice, I heard Voss say under his breath. Conrad is a devout worshipper of Santa Myrta. He is rumored to have a priestess living in the villa. That's where Mika comes in if we need to combat her, he explained. Me and Taylor will go in for the kill. Are you okay with killing humans? He asked me point blank. I guess I will have to be. If I have to kill humans, at least let it be human trafficking jerks, I said back nervously. I was hoping we could just solid snake our way through the villa and get that silent assassin rank for just killing Conrad. Sorry guys, I know I promised my first mission in this chapter, but there was a lot more setup than I realized, and nowhere seemed like a good place to stop. I'll crank out the next one quick. Let's just say things don't go solid snake during the first mess of a mission.